Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. We're waiting on News Press, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Eileen Houston Stewart. I'm the Director of Communications for the district, and we're just here to kind of give you an update on where we are for back to school. There'll be a opportunity to ask questions after the presenters, and then if you want one-on-one, we can do that. So turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. David.
Okay, thanks Eileen. Gabe Edgar, Superintendent of Schools. Hey, and just wanted to kind of talk about what's going on with back to school events. All of our staff has been working hard over the last couple of weeks as they come back in cycles. And so it's been a good transition. We have a lot of new teachers, a lot of new faces, a lot of new support staff employees, but we're excited about the new school year. I know that you guys are probably wanting to ask questions rather than listen to us talk, so I'm not going to say a whole lot. I do kind of want to talk a little bit about our motto for this year. Our motto is one team, and we're going to try to bring all the staff together as one. You know, that's the goal for the school year this year, and it has to do with something larger than just the St. Joseph School District. It has to do with the community of St. Joseph. And we feel like the school district needs to be the center of the community. We're not there at this point. Once we get there, we feel like we can make progress. But one thing that I would like to say is that the progress that we make here in St. Joseph is going to have to be unified. We can't do it just as a school district. We have to have good partners, and we want to be a good partner. And so at this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. McGinnis, and she'll talk a little bit about academics.
Good morning. I'm Ashley McGinnis. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Academic Services. Today's a good day. All of our teachers and support staff are back in school buildings today, and so although many of our teachers have been engaged in professional learning and even preparing their classrooms over the last several weeks, everyone is officially back today. So we have just about 140 new teachers in our St. Joseph School District this year, 68 of which are brand new to the profession. So for those new teachers, we provide mentoring and support during the onboarding process, but also throughout the school year. Our teachers and principals are excited to welcome our students and families during our back to school night tomorrow. Elementary will run from 4:30 to 6, and middle school and high school will be from 4 p.m. to 5:30. And that's really an opportunity for our parents to connect with their child's teachers and principals, and then also to take a look around the classrooms, tour the buildings. And so we are ready to go. We are excited for Monday. We're ready to launch. And I'll pass it off to Dr. Brian Krause.
Good morning. I'm Brian Krause. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. As Ashley mentioned, we do have a lot of new staff. I think we probably set a record for the number of new staff. We had approximately 140 new teachers, as she mentioned, and then when you throw in classified staff, about 330 total positions. That was both exciting and challenging in that nationwide we're in a teacher shortage, and so we did open a pipeline for international candidates. We have 40 international candidates coming in this year, and I assume there'll be individual questions about that later, so I won't go into much detail. But the one thing I am certain in that we can tell our community is that when school starts, every child will have a competent, caring professional in front of them, and so we feel good about that. I believe Mr. Nolte is next.
Thank you, Dr. Krause. I'm Shannon Nolte. I'm the Director of Non-Academic Student Services. That's quite a bit of a big umbrella. A couple things I want to highlight going into this year. We are going to continue to make safety improvements, and that comes from our office. There's a lot of things that we're doing to still continue to make our buildings as safe as possible. A few of those things involve some Raptor applications that will alert all staff in the case of an emergency crisis, and also some drill management software that we'll be all on the same page, a little more on the same page with. So also with our first student, our bus company, there's going to be some changes. One of the things will be some software, some tracking, and upgraded system that will help parents be able to find where the buses are at so they know where their students are at, and for us as a building and us as an office here to do that as well. Again, that's, I think, considered a safety feature to make sure we're getting kids to and from schools as safe as possible. The last thing I was going to mention was enrollment. We are right around about 7,400 students enrolled. That's about 70% of what we would expect. So we still know there's a lot out there that still need to get enrolled. Even returning students, I know I would encourage parents to make sure that they get online through our website and do the online enrollment and registration. That's important for a couple reasons. One, we have open house nights this week, I think tomorrow night in a lot of our schools. If the students want to know who their teacher is going to be, their schedule is going to be in middle school and high school, it's really important that they are online registered. So we'll still take those up to the first day, but that makes the first day go that much easier and smoother if we can get everybody to do that. We have bus routes on the website. It's important for the online registration is important for that because we want to make sure kids get to buses. Now, there are routes on the website already. We would encourage people to find the closest stop. But if you are enrolled and registered, if we need to alter those bus routes and change those, then we can do that more effectively if everybody's online and registered. If you need assistance, we have an enrollment center here now. We have staff here at this building to be able to answer those questions, help with the online enrollment, or we have the secretaries and the staff back in schools that they can call schools and ask as well. So we should have plenty of help to get everybody enrolled. We want to see everybody enrolled and welcome everybody back next Monday when we start. So I will pass this along. I'm not sure who's next.
Good morning. I'm Kendra Lau. I'm the Director of School Improvement for the St. Joseph School District. And there are several points I'd like to make about attendance in the St. Joseph School District. First is our progress. Last year we improved by 9%, and that's the single biggest gain we've ever realized in 1 year's time. But secondly, we also have some problems. We're 11% away from our goal of 90%. And when we look at our data, it tells us that our parents are choosing not to send their kids to school. So that brings me to some solutions. We have partnered with the Buchanan County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. This year, we're going to enforce compulsory attendance. Secondly, we're returning to Strive for 5, and we're challenging our students and our families to miss no more than 5 days this school year. Kids need to be in school, full stop. No excuses. That's all I have for you.
Okay, we're ready. What kind of questions do you have? Yes, ma'am.
I guess my question is for Kendra actually, is seeing that gain, kind of how do you expect, along with those efforts that you said, to continue seeing gains in attendance?
Sure, and so I will say this is not the St. Joseph School District's first rodeo in improving attendance. However, it is after COVID, and it's been a game changer. So we've made gains incrementally before, so I suspect highly that we'll make gains again, like that 9%, that's not where we're gonna stop. So like I said, we have put plans into place. Prosecuting Attorney's Office. We need parents to better understand that kids need to be in school. It's not really an option. And COVID, the time has run out on kids being sick without medical verification. Also, we're going to challenge them with Strive for 5. We had a lot of success with that program and campaign, and we are going to get some of that referred power from back in the day when that seemed to resonate with people. And we have attendance interventionists, and those attendance interventionists made more educational neglect hotlines last year than we've ever had. They've made more home visits than we've ever seen in St. Joe School District's history. So we're connecting with families, and we're partnering with families. And at the same time, we also have to draw a line in the sand and say, we need your kids in school.
And the prosecuting attorney, would that be a first step where a student misses a day? It's not gonna go straight to that right away, is it?
No, certainly not. You know, we've said before, and we'll say it again, the prosecuting attorney's office has unlimited problems and limited, resources. And so we are not gonna ask them to do anything that is nonsensical. So it'll be a very reasonable approach to when we really have an issue. And we need some help from them, because sometimes parents are not listening to us, but they tend to listen to a prosecutor.
And I guess, does the issue come after that 5, with the Strive for 5, does that come after that 5 days, or is it
It's
just
really,
when you see a constant?
yeah, when we see kids missing 5 days, that is a red flag. And so at that point, we would not think it unreasonable to have a letter sent from the prosecuting attorney's office.
Dr. Lau, when you're looking at the data, I know you said a majority of it comes from the parents who are withholding their kids from attending school. Has your data indicated any specific reasons that might play into that? Like, what is the reasoning behind that?
It's a contributing factor. I wouldn't categorize it as a majority, but it's enough of a contributing factor that it makes you pause. And so in terms of what are the underlying factors, those are things actually this year we're going to try to better understand, because whatever the reason is, that we have a lot of social service agencies in town. So if it's transportation, if it's housing, if it's food scarcity, if it's medical needs, we can hook families up with those resources, but then we expect a return to normal, regular attendance behavior. And by regular attendance behavior, I mean, achieving that 90% as a year-to-date attendance as the year goes by. So those are our expectations.
Absolutely. And are those educational interventionists, are they going to be kind of the bridge for those needs that those families might have?
Yes, the attendance interventionists are certainly a bridge. They make a lot of phone calls. They do a lot of home visits. And so what they find in their observations, their conversations, that becomes kind of that qualitative data that we use to inform our next steps.
Absolutely. And I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, but is it for a family to be approached by an educational interventionist? Is that after that 5-day mark, or is it kind of?
No, it really isn't. They approach families when there's good attendance. They're developing relationships with parents, so that if a parent has had a negative school experience, that it's not always the school district knocking on the door because something's gone wrong. It's often when things go right.
Why do you think it's so important to bridge that connection between the school district and the families, and know that they do have that support and all of those opportunities available to them?
Because parents are their child's first educator, and they're our partners. So we've got to partner together, and one of the most crucial steps is having kids in school.
Absolutely. You're looking at it more of like building a relationship, not like harping on the families.
No, we definitely want to build a relationship, but if we have to harp, we will harp.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Dr. Lau, either from the district's past experiences or from some other kind of objective perspective, what information do you have which shows that the prosecutor getting involved in productively causes families to start sending their kids to school when they previously weren't doing that?
Yeah, sure. So we've run this before, and so when we've had help from the prosecutor, we definitely saw improvements. And it's not the entire piece of the pie. If you think of a problem as a whole, it's a very small portion, but it's a portion that helps kids that are on the very edges of not being in school so much that they are truly risking their future. And so when we can partner with the prosecutor's office for that reason, where nobody's looking to put parents in jail, they're looking to put kids in school.
And so the goal is 90%. I think you guys were like a few fractions of a percentage short of 80% at the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
1% short, yes.
Oh, okay. How do you get to 90% from this point? Like, do you believe that's attainable this year?
I believe that it is attainable, and so we're just going to work hard. I've lined out our strategies: Strive for 5, partnerships, working with attendance interventionists. All the buildings have attendance improvement plans. We have the principals have toolkits on how to utilize all these materials. We have learning for our attendance interventionists on partnering with families. So we've developed multiple strategies to try to continue to improve attendance. So yes, I believe it's attainable.
Okay. And do you want to just briefly describe the Strive for 5 program, just so that, we can get that kind of in your own?
Sure, and I have plenty of things I can share. But really what the Strive for 5 campaign is, it's super simple. 5, don't miss any more than 5 days of school. So, and just, it just puts a mark out here and we say, hit this. And when people know a clear goal, they tend to do better.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Are there any other incentives for attendance that you guys have looked at?
Yes, we are very lucky in the St. Joe School District. Our business services office supports us and buildings in terms of providing incentives for kids, but they don't have to be expensive. Extra recess, lunch with the principal, just easy lunch with the superintendent. Is that what you just said? Lunch with the superintendent. So it's just all of those things that can help support.
Any other questions?
I got one for Dr. Edgar.
I've got an answer, Marcus.
All right, so, I think there's been a lot of attention, focused on how the district is changing how it's organized as far as buildings and operations over the next couple of years. Do you want to give us the latest update on that and kind of just, talk a little bit about what you envision happening as of right now, with elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools?
Well, I think from a vision standpoint, I can tell you, Marcus, that something's going to happen. I will take this opportunity to give a shout out to the facilities committee, because they really have buckled down and I guess just kind of focused on one thing right now. The Board of Education, let's see, I guess it would have been the last board meeting, voted for us to focus on middle school level, and then come back with a focus on the elementary level, and then to proceed into the high school level, which actually gave us a clear direction on what we were to do. And we're in the process right now. We have a meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock administratively to talk about right-sizing those middle schools. We've ran some new boundaries for the elementaries to be true feeder programs into the middle schools. And so you will see that come the 22nd of August. We'll be presenting that information to the facilities committee. So I guess one thing that I would say is hold on, because there's going to be a lot of things happen over the next couple of months. And to give you a firm date on when things are going to happen, I think that we had mentioned that we really wanted to get things cleared up before Christmas, to have a clear plan on what we were going to do with middle schools for 24-25, and what we were going to do for feeder patterns and right-sizing the elementary for 24-25. I'm confident that that will happen. I'm pretty confident that will happen before December, to be honest with you.
Okay,
So that's kind of where we're at with it right now.
Okay, so it would be accurate then to say the goal is by the end of this semester, for lack of a better way of putting it, and then we should have a completely concrete idea of what's happening at the latest by the end of the school year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing that you will see too, once we get the first hurdle crossed, so to speak, that there will be some sort of 5 to 7 year plan that will include everything that's going to happen from a facility standpoint.
I got one for Shannon right quick.
Okay,
Yeah, just want to kind of get you back in the chair.
okay, all right. I'll see.
Put your seatbelt on.
Okay.
So, do you want to just kind of get further into kind of the situation that we have now with school resource officers? How many are there, and kind of how many want to be there, and what their needs are?
Yeah. Well, we're currently where we were at in the past few years. We have 6 resource officers that service our schools. We're shifting them around a little bit to try to make sure we're covering things, but we're working with the new police chief. We've had meetings with him. The supervisor, their sergeant, we worked with him, and he's like the 7th. He's kind of the on-call. So we would like to get to 9 is a number that we, I think, at one point in time had. That would be ideal to cover, especially our elementary schools and middle schools a little bit better. I think our high schools are in good shape with the staff that we have there, the SROs we have there. But in order for our elementary and middle school students to see those guys and know that they're there for safety is a big thing. So we're at 6/7 with the supervisor. We would love to get to 9 if at all possible. And I think the police department is committed to doing that as well when they can have those resources and people available.
Okay, and am I more or less right that the way it works right now is you have one officer at each of the high schools, and then the other 3 guys plus the supervisor as needed, kind of, they go where they're needed, just kind of here.
So yeah, we have them at the high schools, but they also service middle schools. We have one that would be designated to middle schools as well, and then we have one that helps with the elementaries, one that helps at the Webster Learning Center as well. So that's kind of where they're all spread out. Most of the 3 that are at high school, that's their home station to start with, but they will service middle schools as called upon.
And then Bessie Ellison's got the county sheriff there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do they have one there at all times?
Yeah. Well, as long as they're not being called away for other emergencies or other needs. But yes, Buchanan County Sheriff's Department provides one for us at Bessie Ellison.
Okay.
And I know you had the school safety grant that allowed you to make some more improvements. How was kind of the progress on that? Was it all done before the school year starts, or is there still some work to do?
No, there's still work to do. We're going to start securing the resources. We'll put out RFPs and things like that. You'll see those kind of things coming up in the future here with the next few board meetings. You'll see some of that. So that it's still kind of in the planning stages. We want to make sure we're using those resources as efficiently and effectively as possible.
And in getting those resources, and I know you're still kind of in the planning stages for that part, but what more needs to be done to ensure schools are secure?
Well, I think we're always concerned. You hear things in the news about just the entrances and the ways people can access our buildings. That's what we look at. We look at how in past incidents and things like that across the nation have happened. We work with the police department and the sheriff's department on best practices. So really, we'll look at any entry point into our buildings and see how we can provide the best security possible. I think we learned a lot over the last year or so about keeping doors closed and keeping things secured. I think we do a good job of that. I mean, our SROs are constantly checking those things. They go to buildings and they'll let the staff know if there needs to be changes. We have campus supervisors, which are law enforcement personnel, but they are constantly moving around the building, especially the high school and middle schools, to make sure all entry points are secure.
And can a grant like that, can it go towards getting SROs, or is it strictly for security and equipment, I guess?
It probably could. Ours, when we made the application, was not going to go towards that. But I mean, I'm sure there's some in this, maybe some in the state that were approved for that. I think really the goal of that program was for us, though, to focus on what we can do inside and not, supplying, because, even though we do have a partnership with the police department about how we, we kind of share the split 50-50 with those officers and paying for them, really it's their personnel. They are the ones hiring more officers, and doing those things to upgrade on their side.
Okay, let's get Dr. Kraus if we can.
Thank you.
All right, so you spoke earlier of how we still have the ongoing national teacher shortage. Is there a way that you can quantify that and kind of how that translates down to the local level as far as what you have felt?
Well, I'll do as best I can. I can tell you a little bit about Missouri. Over the last 5 years, there have been an average of 350 people graduating from colleges of education. In those same years, there have been an average of 500 people retiring or resigning from teaching. Excuse me. So just there, I mean, we're down 150 just on the state level, and I think that's also occurring nationwide. In fact, I think it's a global problem. My wife and I had the opportunity to go to Central Europe this summer, and we're in 5 countries, and every one of them said, you know, we're struggling to find teachers. So, you know, we're being as creative as we can and looking at ways to entice people to become teachers, whether that's people in the community who have bachelor's degrees in something else that might want to become teachers. We have our Grow Your Own program and our Pathway to Teaching program. As I mentioned, we're bringing in some international teachers, so we're doing everything we can to alleviate the problem.
Okay. Roughly how many teaching vacancies do we have right now?
Right now, 6 or 7, and one that we feel like is critical to starting the school year. We always have some flexibility with being able to shuffle sections, and so right now our biggest need is we have a science position open at Central yet that we're trying to fill.
And you already partly answered my next question, and that was, how do you assess who's critical for starting the year? What determines that?
Well, I mean, it's a balancing act. If we have a building where we have 3 sections of 15, maybe we can combine that to 2 sections if we need an elementary teacher, for instance. We look at master schedules and see, you know, if there's an enrollment of 5 or 6 in several classes, do we need to offer those, or do we need to shift it to a higher need? So there are a number of things that we look at. We're in communication with retired teachers, trying to see if they would be interested in coming back. The legislature passed a law that allows us to have more critical shortage openings this year. It expanded from 5 to 14. So we're trying to get people to come in and fill positions that way as well.
Are those the openings that allow you to bring back a retired teacher if they so desire? Or,
yes, the critical shortage legislation said that it used to be that they could work for 24 months in a critical shortage. Now it's 48. And then also our district up until this year was only allowed 5 openings, and now based on our number of employees, we can have 14.
Okay. Last question then would be EDGE staff. We've continued to stay with them. As we get into the year, do you feel like they're going to provide enough substitutes for our needs, and or is that still going to be an issue?
I would love to be able to say that we won't have any unfilled sub openings, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think EDGE staff is working hard. They're out there beating the pavement. You can imagine, though, if it's hard to find teachers, it's also hard to find substitutes. They always have a sufficiently large pool of teachers that if they were willing to come in on a more frequent basis, we could fill all of our openings. I mean, they have a big pool. One of the major reasons that people become subs rather than regular teachers is they're not looking to work every day. So those are some of the factors. You know, we've reached out to Missouri Western to recruit as many of their students as we can, and they've been a great partner for us, and we'll continue to look to expand in that way as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is the biggest difficulty in finding teachers, talking about how hard it is it more so not finding people that are willing to kind of step up and do it, or is it competing with several other districts that are also experiencing teacher shortages? What's the biggest difficulty there?
Well, as you said, all districts are struggling to find enough teachers, and some of it is geography. Some of it is pay, some of it is perceived working conditions. There's a lot of factors that go into determining where someone is going to want to land as far as a teaching spot. we've been working as hard as we can to make our salary schedule competitive, and then other factors that go along with that.
And then from the hiring fair, I know you had, did you fill a bunch of vacancies through that, or was it other things that happened?
We did fill 12 vacancies, and we have some more other candidates. Now, the vast majority of those were classified positions. I think we only had, I believe we got 2 certified positions that we filled through the teacher fair. And so yes, it was a very successful event, and we'll continue to hold it.
I know this year you've seen a lot of people coming in probably who have never taught before. Is this something that has always been a thing? You've always allowed people to come and train with you guys and get those certifications, or has that increased a little bit over these past few years as we've seen the teacher shortages become more prominent?
Oh, it's been a new phenomenon. I don't think 5 years ago it would have been very uncommon to have anyone come from a non-education background into teaching. I think now probably every college and university in Missouri has an alternative certification process. And that's the method that people use to become teachers if they have a bachelor's degree in something other than education.
Roughly, do you know how many people you have filling positions that will be going through that process?
Right now we have 11 in our pipeline, in our Pathways to Teaching program. And as I said, that's one of the things that we'll look to expand in the future, hopefully.
That's amazing. And how do you help parents rest assured that despite these people not having a formal educational background, that they will be getting the highest quality of education?
Well, I think a lot of it is in our professional development and the supports that we have for teachers. I believe Dr. McGinnis mentioned our mentoring program, which is really top rate. And then, people can always go to their next door neighbor who is a seasoned teacher. For instance, our staff is great about helping the new staff grow and develop, and we have a lot of opportunities for them to do that.
Absolutely. It sounds like they won't be floating out there on their own. They'll have the support of the school district.
Yes, they will.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, last week you announced you hired international teachers, and half of them are from Philippines. How many of these teachers speak Spanish, and what do you do to bring teachers to speak Spanish to the Latino community?
Okay. The teachers that come to us, our international candidates, come through a corporation called International Alliance Group. They provide us with a database of teachers. There are teachers from, probably 20 to 30 countries on there. We post our openings with them, and then we pick our teachers from those that apply to those positions and go through an interview process. So in terms of actively recruiting teachers from any particular country, we have not been doing that.
I got one for Dr. McGinnis right quick. And then I'm done, I promise. No, you're not. Just wanted to touch base with you. I doubt this is applicable to SGSD, but I'm seeing in various states across the country there's been some controversy over AP programs in certain subjects. Have you heard anything along those lines, or are you prepared to deal with that in any way?
I think that we are prepared to handle that. I mean, we have some kids who choose AP coursework, and we try to make that work if we have the staffing for that. But I don't think we have so much of that controversy here in St. Joe.
Okay. Didn't think so, just thought I'd ask. That's it.
Great. Guys, thank you for coming, and I'll be sending you the schedule for first day of school where the superintendent's going to be in case you want to join us bright and early on Monday, our first day of school. So thanks for coming.